Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you to the May 12th, 2020 Pitt County Department of Social Services Board of Directors meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we will start by observing a moment of silent prayer or silent meditation. Thank you. Okay, thank you. We will start with public comments, and I'm not aware that we have any for today.
There are none.
Thank you very much, Susan.
Mr. Chairman,
so yes,
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the agenda as presented.
thank you, Ms. Perkins. And could I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand, please. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we need, you have copies of the minutes from the previous meeting. And so if there's no changes, if I could have a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all those in favor, just raise your hand, please, so we can see. Thank you. Okay. So moving on in the agenda, this has become kind of a favorite item on our agenda in terms of recognizing and getting introduced to our new staff. And I think I'm going to turn it over to Miss Elliott so she can go ahead and make those introductions for us.
Okay, great. We're excited to have three folks with us. These are the last hires that we will probably do at DSS for a while, based on the county's freezing positions for a while. So let me start with Toshi James, who has been with us a couple of months in child support. Come on forward. Did I pronounce your name right? Okay. Come on, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Toshi James. I'm a child support enforcement agent. I've been in child support for about 3 years. I came from Lenore County, so I'm here. Glad to be here. I've been in Greenville for like 6 years now, so yeah.
Okay. Glad to have you and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Welcome.
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 Okay, so now we'll go to Taylor Skeens. Taylor, if you'll come on down.
Hello, everyone. Taylor Skeens. I got hired March 16th for Family and Children Medicaid. It's my first job in DSS, but hopefully in about a year and a half or so, I'll get a degree in social work and I can progress a little forward.
And we're welcome to have Taylor with us. Taylor has come out of the military to join us here in Pitt County, so we're pleased to have Taylor with us. Okay, Tawanda Davis.
Good evening. I am Tawanda Davis, and I am a social worker to the CAP DA program. Thankful and grateful to be here. Born and raised right here in Greenville. So I'm excited to continue to serve my local community, and I'm coming from Vidant.
Glad to have you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.
So that's it.
Elliott.
Thank you very much.
I think it's great that we have an opportunity to hire such good people, especially coming from Vidant, and giving them an opportunity to continue being employed with the county.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay. Moving on our agenda, we're going to move on to items for report. and I'm going to turn it back over to Miss Elliott, and she's going to give us an update on COVID-19.
Okay, let's see if I can make this work from this distance. There it comes. Okay. So I'm going to try and tell you a few of the things that have been going on with COVID, and I may have to go down front to do it. So if you'll give me just a second, I will be down there, and we'll talk about the COVID response here in Pitt County for DSS. Okay, so maybe if I mashed it in the right direction, it would work. Okay, so in our food assistance area, we have been very busy. Applications are climbing. We're taking double the applications we typically take for food assistance in a given month. At least that was for the last month or so. What I want to let you know is that supplements have been issued for March, April, and May to cover 10,000 households. And through May, it's $3.4 million approximately has been released on EBT cards for Pitt County citizens. The PEBT program has been approved, and in Pitt County, that will be about 15,735 children who currently get free and reduced price meals will get a load on their EBT card. It'll be $194,000 per child for March and April, and $177 per child for May and June. Now, what is interesting in this is about 65,000 of these children do not currently receive food stamps. They receive free and reduced price meals at school. And so this will be a totally different group getting these food stamp benefits. They will be issued a card that looks different from the regular EBT card. Those cards will be going out shortly. Notices are going out to the families now who will be receiving this. There's information both on the school's webpage and the Pitt County webpage about this program. We are estimating right now, based on the number of children approved and the amounts per child, that it'll be about $5.8 million issued for Pitt County students to help with the food insecurity that has been experienced with school being out. Food stamps has also suspended the ABOD requirements. So because of difficulties in finding work and that kind of thing right now, it did not seem right at the federal level. And so the state did get the federal government to waive those ABOD requirements for right now so that folks will not be terminated if they're unable to search for work or do those work activities. Another thing that's been exciting is that the online purchase of groceries has begun. North Carolina was approved to do that with both Walmart and Amazon. There are other stores that are now being worked with at the federal level who may have some interest in participating in this program. But we went live May 7 with online purchasing, and already between May 7 and this morning, there were over 15,000 transactions with over $700,000 in groceries purchased. Walmart is pretty much doing theirs. Okay, Walmart is pretty much doing theirs. You drive up and do a pickup. Amazon is mailing them. And I understand we have somebody with a question.
Yes, I thank you for taking my question, Ms. Elliott. And I wanted to know if it's good that we can ask the question as you go through the slide presentation.
Sure.
Okay, the card that was issued for students who are getting free or reduced lunches, is that card sent to a parent, or the children may be listening? Is it per child?
It is, okay, there's a couple of things. One, the card is generally all the children in a household are going to be combined on one card. And the card would come in the parent's name. There are some situations where the children may not be able to have been matched up because they took the school system's reports and sent them over to the DSS folks, and between all of the computers working together, there were some they could not match up. So there may be some cards issued in the children's names. Those children that are in group home facilities who get free and reduced price lunch, they will be issued in the children's names, but they would go to the head of household or whoever the adult is in that situation to help them maneuver and get the food that they need.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other questions before I go on?
No.
Okay. So Walmart is getting the lion's share of this online purchasing right now. You would do your online purchasing. You would drive up. It's going to take a little bit of time. You know, they've got to have time to process the order. So they would let you know when to come. You drive up, they'd load up your vehicle and you would go. There is a service fee for this. That fee cannot come out of your food stamp allotment. That fee has to come off of some other method of payment, a credit card, a debit card, or something like that. The Amazon folks are mailing their products. There is no delivery charge on groceries over $25. So that's an exciting thing, and that will continue to go forward even after the COVID experience hopefully has left us. Let's see, what else is going on in food stamps? The county DSS is going to be responsible for tracking all the return notices, trying to locate folks, answering questions. The EBT cards themselves that go out to those folks who don't typically receive food stamps will not be returned to us if they're undeliverable. They will go back to the vendor, and then we'll work with the vendor and the school system to try and locate those folks so we can get those cards to them. What I would say again is go to the websites that are posted both at the school and at the county about how to get frequently answered questions, how to deal with the things that may be coming up with you, and to please have patience with us as we try to respond and answer questions. And I understand we have a hand again.
Thank you. The parent is able to order by phone and they can go pick it up. Then my next question is, will they be able to go into Walmart and make groceries? Because Walmart still allow people in so many at the time. Can they go in Walmart? That would save from ordering, going to get it. But what I'm saying is that you will have a choice of the choice that you make if you went in. Can you use the card inside of Walmart?
Yes, ma'am. You can use the card the old way, like you've always used the cards. What I'm saying is this is another option for folks who want to social distance, who maybe are have some distance from a grocery store. These are other ways for folks to acquire food now and in the future without having to go into a store if that is not the appropriate thing for them to do. But you can use your card just like you've always used the card. And the EBT cards that you're going to be getting for the PEBT, the school system version of EBT, the free lunch folks, they'll use their card just like the regular food stamp folks do. It's just the card's going to look different.
That's great. That's great.
Okay. So that's kind of what's going on with food stamps. So a lot of activity to try and support the families who are having a great deal of need around food issues in the county and in the state. Medicaid's done a lot of things too. Medicaid has waived the enrollment fees for health choice so that parents can get that insurance for their children without having to pay that $50 enrollment fee. We will not be terminating you from Medicaid for any reason right now. The only way you would be terminated during this pandemic would be if you die, if you leave the state, or if you request termination. Otherwise, we will continue to maintain your case. There has been a portal established for the providers to request reimbursement for uninsured testing or treatment. So that's a real plus for them. The state has is also getting an increased match rate for a lot of the services that Medicaid is providing. And a lot of the response has focused on the providers themselves. One thing I can say with Medicaid and food stamps is the face-to-face interviews have been waived so that we can do a lot of things for clients by the phone and by internet. So that is very helpful also. But a lot of the Medicaid things have focused on providers, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. So the next big issue for us is the temporary assistance for needy families, or Work First. We are not sanctioning people right now so that we will not be terminating their checks. We have suspended, as part of that sanction process, the terminations. There's going to be a one-time payment made to each household, and that was pending at the time that this was put together. But we were told this morning that the TANF payment is going to be $265 per eligible child in the household. That would be someone who was eligible in the month of April. The child was eligible in the month of April. That money will be issued on the 22nd of May, and it will be put on the debit cards that have been issued, the EBT cards. If you do not get your TANF payment that way, it will be direct deposited into your bank by May 25th. So that's another small bit of money to help households during this time who are struggling. And it is just for those children who were eligible in the month of April. We anticipate that's about 300 children in Pitt County. So about 79,000, 79,500 would be what we would anticipate Pitt County's children would receive. And of course, this would be for the head of household to manage. The low-income energy program had some leftover dollars, and so they did not want those dollars to revert to the federal government. And so there will be a supplement issued in May for all the households in North Carolina. In Pitt County, that was 2,824 households with that little bit of money that was left over. And I say a little bit of money, the payments will range anywhere from $10.45 to $17.42 per household. So writing those checks, it's a lot of paper check writing for a very small amount of money, but that will go to those vendors that those families have. And obviously all of us know even $10 is important during these times when we're struggling financially. So the dollar amount, if you got $300 in your original LEAP payment, you're going to get $10.45 additional. Those checks are being cut here in the county and have to be out and completed by May 29th. They've got to be in the mail. So that's going to be a fast turnaround. We just got the printout yesterday as to what households we're talking about here in Pitt County. So that's another thing that's going on with the agency. Child care has done a lot to try and assist families. First thing they did was waive parent fees, just like we did during the hurricane last year. So any fees that parents pay to child care centers, they no longer have to pay those during this time period. They are also providing payments for each child enrolled in a child care center, even if the center was closed for April and May. So those centers are trying to be held as harmless as possible during this process. Bonus payments are being paid to providers to stay open. Bonus payments are going to the workers for the months of April and May. If you are a full-time teacher, you would get a $950 bonus payment. If you're a full-time support worker, you would get a $525 payment. And if you're part-time in any of those things, you would get a partial payment. Those payments are going to the centers, and then the centers then distribute those to the workers. There's also been a COVID emergency child care for essential workers that has been set up that will end the end of May. And this raised the level of support that we could give. Normally it's a family with less than 200% of poverty. We went up to 300% of poverty during this situation. And so we could help childcare, the essential workers find childcare if they needed it, help them pay for it if they needed it, and there would be no fees. Right now, again, this will end the end of May, but it's been around for a couple of months. So hopefully it was helpful to those providers. We also extended job search and allowing children to stay in care longer. Typically, the job search, if you've lost your job and you need to look for a job, we'll give you 90 days to find another job before we terminate your child care. We have now extended it to 180 days, knowing that in the employment situation is much more difficult now. So they will not lose their slot. They will not lose their payment. And the children can still go to the center so that parents can do the looking for work that they need to do. So that's another plus for the families that's been, I think, very helpful to people in the community. And allowed a lot of folks to be able to work who might not would have been able to. So what else has happened? A lot of the rules have been relaxed, especially around face-to-face interviews. Medicaid, food stamps, some of those programs have extended their certification periods automatically for 6 to 12 months so that we didn't need to have that interaction at this moment. Programs are not counting the stimulus checks as income, so that's a plus for families to be able to use those to do the things they need to do. Some programs are not even counting the $600 unemployment income. Some are, so I'm not going to go into which is which, but there are some that are not going to count that. The state is getting some increased match in a few situations to help with some of their cost. The COVID relief bill that was just passed in North Carolina, there are going to be dollars given to the facilities that take special assistance. It's a one-time payment. It'll be $1,325 for each resident between March 10th and July 30th. So if you were in a facility at least one day during that period of time, there should be a payment made to the facility of record, the initial facility of record. If you move, we're not chasing that down. That's the facility gets, the first facility gets it. For foster children, there's going to be $100 per month payment for each child for April, May, and June to offset some of the extra cost with, the kids being out of school, the issues with trying to get online, all of those kinds of things to help with those extra costs. There's also been some temporary Medicaid increases, Medicaid payment increases, skilled nursing, personal care, home health, just a lot of things like that with Medicaid to try and support the providers as they've had to take on a lot of extra cost with, the PPE and the other kinds of things that they've had to do as they have worked with the residents that they have or the clients that they have. Now, as far as staff here in Pitt County, we've continued to provide all of our social work services, our economic services. We're in people's homes, we're in facilities, we're transporting people to medical appointments. Although there has been some relaxing of requirements as far as some of the face-to-face things, we're still doing a lot of that. At the Human Services Center, a lot of that work is going on at the front desk where things are being dropped off, that kind of stuff. We're not actually having to interview for the most part at the agency. We're doing that by phone as much as possible. Again, to protect both our staff and to protect the community who's coming in to see us. So that was my fast run through of what's been going on with COVID and DSS, and I'll be happy to see if there are any other questions that y'all may have.
Ms. Elliott.
We have questions for Ms. Elliott?
Yes, Ms. Elliott.
Yes, ma'am.
The staff who's in the office and working out front or must see the general public, do you provide PPEs for them?
We have done a limited amount of that. The folks at the front, as you remember, are behind glass already.
Right.
And so the interaction is not as close face-to-face as it would be if we were out in the lobby having those discussions. We have provided some amount of PPE, gloves, some sanitizer wipes to wipe down things, that kind of thing. But we provided most of our PPE to the staff who are going out into the field to still see clients in their homes.
Thank you. Have you, has there been a line of any type, or do they come by appointment?
Right now, again, everything is for the most part being done by phone, by email, by drop off, and then a phone call back. We are doing a very limited amount of interviewing. I have not heard that there has been a large number of folks in the building at any one time to be interviewed.
The reason for that question is if they have to come in and there are more than one in the line, do you have markers? I have problem guessing how much is.
Yeah, I'm not sure we've had that much of an issue, but we do have a line to some degree based on where the first stanchion is, where folks are supposed to wait until we call them forward.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure we're following all the guidelines.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to say, I just want to recognize Ms. Elliott and her staff in terms of, responding to this. I mean, it sounds like, there've been things coming down the pike at almost like every day. And I think it's probably just a challenge to keep up with the changing the changing issues in terms of the different programs that are going on. And again, I'd just like to recognize Ms. Elliott and her staff for responding to this the way they have.
Ditto.
So if there's no other questions, thank you, Ms. Elliott. I appreciate that. Next on your agenda, we're going to move into items for decision. In your packet, you all received a copy of our rules of procedure for the Pitt County Social Services Board. We've been moving those back and forth and discussing those for a while now, and they went out in your packet. And so it's time for us to take some action on those. And first, I'd like to open it up for any discussion, if there's discussion regarding the procedures, the rules of procedures, or any thoughts, anything that anybody wants to say about them.
Well, I think they have, they incorporate all of the recommendations that we made, it seems.
I would agree.
Yes.
I think it's very thorough.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, we spent quite a bit of time on these, and I want to thank Ms. Elliott for kind of and whomever else kind of pulling these all together. We had good discussion, I think, and I concur. I think it's a good product and something we can use going forward. So if there's no other discussion, what we'll need is we'll need to approve these. So we'll need a motion to approve and a second, and then we'll need to take a vote on these. So if I could have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, and I have a second from, so Catherine made the motion and Daron has second. So if we could have if there's no other discussion, if we could have a show of hands in terms of all those that want to approve these. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
I'm seeing everybody here, so I think I can say that the motion passed. So we have now our rules and procedure for Pitt County Department of Social Services Board. Thank you. Good job. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the director's report, and I guess Ms. Elliott, it's back to you.
Okay. And I will let the folks in the back know that I'm going to want to show the video for the child welfare, child abuse prevention month. Boy, my brain has gone. So if I'll run through the report and then we can do that video next. Okay.
Thank
you. The Medicaid application processing report and the status of agency personnel, everybody received. It is the normal reports that we get. As you can see, even though we've had a lot going on, our application processing for Medicaid has certainly met the requirements with 97% of our MAD applications processed timely and 94% of our other Medicaid processed timely, and the goal is 90%. So our folks are definitely doing a wonderful job with that. The other thing you can see is the vacancy report. You did see that we have 21 vacant positions. The county has for all practical purposes frozen everything. We are not at a point that we can interview further, make job offers, or advertise. So that will be continuing at least into the month of June. And then we will see from there where we go. Have had some conversation with the manager, but also understand the financial situation that they're in. And so we will continue to do what we need to do to make things happen, but do understand there will be probably some negative results from some of this, as we still have to do the job that we have to get done with the fewer staff while this is going on. So does anybody have a question about those two reports before we do the video?
Ms. Elliott.
Yes, ma'am.
Usually when we have unusual kind of thing happening and new learning procedures and everything, I'm always concerned about the staff and morale. Have you discussed that with with Brian as it relates to the head and if it seems like everything is fine or the jitters, what's your report on the staff as a whole as we go through this pandemic?
Okay, I got part of that. I think what your question had to do was about the morale and how staff were dealing with all of this.
Yes.
Is that the basic question?
Absolutely. It's a general question since we're talking
Okay,
about
yeah.
staff and we've frozen all these positions and that place extra work somewhat on the staff. I'm wondering how does it seem and how is it and what's their general attitude about things? I know they got to
Well,
handle it, but
yeah.
does the
Yes,
staff need mental health?
yeah. Like everybody, I think we've got a lot of folks that are nervous. They're concerned about where they're going to get infected. Are they going to get infected? Um, uh, what can they do to protect themselves? Folks have had to worry, like everybody else, about their children, about their health issues themselves. Trying to get kids to school, trying to do all those things, trying to cover everything that needs to get covered. So certainly it is a stressful time for our staff, and not having all the folks trained and in place makes it a little more difficult. What I will say is that this is a group that has been a bunch of real troopers. They ask questions. I'm trying to make sure that I am as open and upfront with them by doing, initially it was a daily update. I'm now doing something a couple of times a week. Every time somebody gives me anything that can be a useful tool or some information that might be helpful, we are sharing it with all the staff. We have had at least one organization in the community come in to thank our staff. They brought cookies for all the staff to say thank you for your continuing to work in and serving people who have all of these needs here in Pitt County during this time. I think the staff understand that they do provide an important service, and without them, folks do go hungry. Folks don't have medical care, child abuse, adult abuse. Those kinds of things are things that we've still got to address. Most folks are coming to work every day and seem to understand that and have been, like I say, just real troopers. And I am so proud and appreciative of all that they've done.
Have you met with the staff as a whole, since we do operate out of 2 buildings?
Yep. Social distancing makes that very difficult. What I can
I forget about
is
that. Sometimes I tell you about crazy too.
I have been over. I have
Mhm.
been over when we did have one situation where we had an employee who tested positive. I met specifically with all that staff, brought Dr. Silvernell in to talk with the staff. I've walked through the building several times. So I'm not there every day by any means. I see the folks in this building on a regular basis. We are communicating a lot by email and phone calls, that kind of thing. So, I would like to be able to be there more, but that's kind of where we are right now.
Ms. Elliott, I certainly appreciate all that you do. I've gotten very positive reports from some of the staff has to seeing you just made them feel like you care, and that takes a lot, and that helps with the mental. No one can change what's happening, but just to know that the administrators know feel cared, make them feel cared, I think that helps a great deal. And if at any time you if they feel like there need to be some mental counseling, because I know at the time Floyd came through, that was very good. I worked in um, excuse me, worked first at that time, and it was great that we had mental health with the faculty or the teachers or whoever was assisting with the work first situation.
Right. Well, we are using the employee assistance program for anybody and have reminded them that that is available for anybody who feels the need for some support. We've also have received numerous ideas, suggestions, workbooks, whatever you want to call it, of ways that you can help, keep yourself calm, help your children process, stress relievers, all those kinds of things that we've been trying to share with staff. But certainly the employee assistance program is something that we have been pushing with anybody who feels the need to have that kind of conversation. We make that very much aware.
Thank you.
Okay, if there are
Any
no
other
other
questions? I'm sorry. Any other questions for Ms. Elliott? If not,
Okay, Child Abuse Prevention Month, we, had all these wonderful plans, and then COVID came. But staff had a really great idea about not forgetting child abuse prevention, not forgetting the children, and wanting to make sure that this month did not go unnoticed. So I want to thank the PIO office. They did a wonderful job, and so they're going to play now a video of a tree planting that was done in honor of the children during Child Abuse Prevention Month. So.
Thank you guys for coming. So many children are abused and neglected all across the country, and we had to cancel so much with the virus that's going around, and we truly didn't want anyone, those children, to be forgotten.
Thank you. This was shared with the Prevent Child Abuse North Carolina, and they were just really thrilled to see it. And it's out on the website. It was not exactly what we would have wanted to do for this month, but it was a wonderful opportunity. This was part of a long, weekly activities. This was one of those many activities. So I'm real thankful that we were able to pull this off with everybody's help, and to remember the importance of that month.
thank you for doing that, Jen. Now, where is the tree planted? Where was it planted?
Where was it planted? It was planted at the courthouse on the April the 22nd, I believe was the date.
Very nice. Very nice. Appreciate you sharing that with us. I remember last year you had a big event down at the town commons that we attended. And, so thank you. So any questions for Ms. Elliott?
None at this time.
None at this
Okay.
time.
Okay, thank you for your report, and we will now move on to board member comments. And I'd like to open that up with, I want to read I guess it's a letter that the Pitt County Social Services Board put together and we sent to Ms. Elliott and her staff. This was late last month, but I just want to go ahead and read that, and just in recognition of their efforts during this period of time. So bear with me here. Pitt County Department of Social Services Board of Directors would like to express our sincere appreciation and recognition of your dedicated service during these challenging and unprecedented times. While we have recognized your service commitment prior to the pandemic, we have truly been impressed by your dedicated service during this crisis. You have been able to adapt and provide services in new and different ways. Your career in public service requires you to work with some of the most vulnerable citizens who are disproportionately impacted by social and economic crisis. The community oftentimes does not recognize or acknowledge that you are on the front lines and are first responders during these challenging times. Someone said, real strength has to do with helping others, and that is what you're doing. Therefore, the board of directors and citizens of Pitt County would like to say thank you and stay safe. And we sincerely mean that, and we appreciate everything that you're doing and wanted to recognize you. So any other comments? Any other board comments?
I do have a question. Mr. Chairman, will we be Zooming on the 9th, or will we be notified?
Well, I guess that's yet to be determined,
Okay.
and we will keep in touch and be kept updated about that, I'm sure.
Mhm.
This is
Well,
Catherine Nelson.
I was gonna say, if there's nothing else, I'd like to move that we adjourn, if everyone agrees.
Do I have a second to that?
Second.
So moved.
Pretty smile, Catherine.
We will look forward to seeing you next month, one way or the
Stay
other.
safe.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Hey.
See how to